Ethnologue, Languages of the World, is an annual reference publication that provides statistics and other information on living languages of the world. It was first issued in 1951 and is now published annually by SIL International. Now, here's something interesting. According to Ethnologue, there are 983 million people in the world who speak the English language. That's about 13% of the world's population. Of those who speak English, about 372 million speak it as their first language, while about 611 million speak it as a second language. According to the British Council, 25% of the world's population has some understanding of the English language. Nigerians certainly make up some of those numbers. There are over 300 ethnic groups and languages in the country, but the lingua franca is English. This is why most of our writings in Nigeria are in English language. The bad news here is that many of us make English language errors in our writings without being aware of them. Unfortunately, we have accepted these common errors as what some will jokingly describe as Naija English. With me here is a book titled Pop Errors in English, Writers Beware. Pop Errors in English, Writers Beware. It's by Segun Omolayo, a former Nigerian diplomat and broadcaster who is also a United Nations trained writer, rewriter, reporter, analyst, and editor. His book, Pop Errors in English, Writers Beware, examines popular errors writers commit in various ways. It discusses rules commonly violated in writing and suggests ways to avoid such errors. If you are a writer, if you do any type of writing, you want to look at this book. We are going to be reviewing the book and hosting Segun Omolayo sometime on this show. But for now, let's take a few examples. Now, one of the most common errors he describes in his book is what he calls redundancy. And here's how he describes redundancy. Yeah. So in from page 9 here, a redundancy in a phrase, clause, sentence, or text is any word or group of words considered unnecessary in the sense that it can be removed without detracting the meaning. In other words, such a word or group of words has no function in the construction. It neither adds value nor helps the meaning. Rather, it tends to confuse and waste time and energy, particularly the readers. I don't know if you have ever experienced that when you are reading anything, but I have. You feel drained when you read some texts. So here he's talking about redundancy. And here are a few examples. Okay, the first example here is all companies would have met up with all outstanding tax obligations. All companies would have met up with all outstanding tax obligations. The redundancy here is the prepositional phrase, up with. It is just not required for any known purpose in the construction. So the right thing here should be all companies would have met all tax obligations. So met up with is totally unnecessary. Another example here, there were claims and counterclaims about the death of an inmate who died in prison. There were claims and counterclaims about the death of an inmate who died in prison. Without the phrase who died, it is clear enough from the expression the death of that the inmate died. After all, the noun death is a back formation from the verb die. So the right thing here should be there were claims and counterclaims about the death of an inmate in prison. So there's no need for who died in prison. If you say the death of an inmate, you're already talking about somebody who has died. Another example here is, he and his running mates have promised to operate an all-inclusive government. He and his running mates have promised to operate an all-inclusive government. Inclusive is enough to express the idea, and that renders the word all redundant and purposeless in the construction. So if you say inclusive, you don't need the word all again. Inclusive already means all. So why all inclusive? So the right thing here is, he and his running mates have promised to operate an inclusive government. He and his running mates have promised to operate an inclusive government. So a final example here, the construction will certainly help to decongest traffic flow at the 12th Street junction. The word flow may be redundant in this sentence because it suggests that there is no congestion to decongest. So the right thing here should be, the construction will certainly help to decongest traffic at the 12th Street junction. So the word flow there is unnecessary. There's a lot more where those ones came from. It's over 500 amazing pages of fixing common English language errors. You might want to look out for when we feature Segun Omolayo to review pop errors in English. Writers beware. Well, I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. As always, we'll be looking out for your feedback on any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. I am Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.